Hey everybody, welcome back to a Sunday video where we take a look at the week ahead and trading setups that I am interested in looking at. And we're going to be jumping into some charts right away here. Believe it or not, this is actually my first day back in about a week. I was on vacation down in Florida, enjoying the nice beaches, and it's great to be back and first time back on the camera in a little while. So if I'm rusty, I apologize. But everything you saw on the channel for the last week was pre-recorded. It was a hefty week, and vacation was nice. So good to be back. Let's take a look at some setups and see what is working for the week ahead. Now, even though I was away, I was taking trades. I had a really good trading week last week. I traded dollar yen long. I had this little move here, which was nice. Of course, missed some of the amazing post run up, but that's going to happen sometimes. I traded, I believe I traded euro. Was it euro dollar? What was I trading? EURCAD. I took my trade here. So I took a EURCAD trade. Oh, dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss was the other one. So I traded dollar Swiss long, made some moves there last week. So it was a really great trading week last week. I was really long biased on the dollar. And that's kind of what we had talked about in the previous Sunday video, as well as throughout my trading inside of our VIP group. So let's go ahead and take a look at some things that I am looking at right now. Of course, I just showed you guys, I flashed this little trade, very, very small position that I have on EUROCAD, risking just $204, so nothing crazy. I kept my position sizes small during my vacation because I was not sitting at the desk able to do everything, but I liked this area. I liked the short side action here for the EUROCAD. With the recent pop to the upside on the euro, I have been looking at opportunities to short that. I am not a big fan of trading the euro long at this time, just because primarily when it comes to monetary policy, to me, the euro looks like a short. They're lagging behind big time compared to other key players like the Fed, the Bank of England, etc. And so for me, the euro is still a sell until further notice. So I shorted here right around in this green candle. So I shorted on that candle and have been holding for a few days, but positive swaps on this pair actually make it so that when you hold it overnight, you actually get paid to do so. If you're not familiar with that, I do have some videos on that. Just search up the carry trade, Trader Nick, on YouTube, and you'll have a video all about how swaps work. But anyways, EUROCAD, again, I think that this has some downside potential next week, and it's one of the ones on my watch list, so I just wanted to start out with that. Next up is EURUSD. So euro dollar, I mentioned, is, in my opinion, actually kind of a sell. Now, there's been this huge, simple round number idea right now, which is, of course, the demand at 1.0000. Which is basically parity. So the euro dollar last week reached what is called parity in this area. So when we have parity, if you're not familiar with that term, it is basically where the two parity, yep, there we go. So it's basically when the two currencies traded against each other are 1 for 1. And we saw that recently with currency pairs like Euro Swiss, and now with Euro Dollar coming in. That's a very, very interesting thing. What it shows you is that there has been a massive weakening on the Euro Dollar, not just in the short term or the long term. You can see many trades I've taken over time, by the way. Look at all that. So Euro Dollar coming down to 1.00 is huge news. I don't know if you guys remember, but for a long time, even times when I would travel to Europe in the past and things like that, you know, when we would go to the euro, it would be like 1.4. I remember traveling when it was like 1.4 and 1.3 and all that sort of stuff. So it's very, very different time. That's a massive exchange difference than in times of the past. So we are coming down really hard. And to me, when I look at this situation with the euro, you know, is it one of those things where I'm going to try and say, oh, well, at one, it's going to bounce massively? Maybe it does, but I don't think that there's going to be sudden power to get us off that level, considering, you know, we were weak enough to get there in the first place. So for me, with the European Central Bank being so lagging behind the Fed, to me, it's a matter of time before this level breaks and we continue to see the trend continue downwards. Now, I could be wrong about that. Of course, that's why when we take trades, you put stop losses. But for me, a sell trade on the euro dollar this week would be really sweet. So if we get something like this, for example, like a pop to the upside and a run up to 1.02, I'd be interested in potentially shorting this pair and looking for continuation plays through those lows. I know it is weird. It's a big support level, Nick. Why would you want to sell in this area? Well, again, if we came down to this place with so much pressure, there's a good chance that that could break at some point and lead to a flush to the downside. And this, as the dollar continues to be so strong. Now, I want to show you guys something. The Euro USD comes down here as a sell on the Edge Finder, which is our market scanner. By the way, we made some changes. We made some cosmetic changes changes. So things I think look a little bit prettier than usual on the Edge Finder. We also added some fundamental analysis section stuff. This is really exciting, and we might play around with that in this video. And then also check out the new look. We got the new individual screen look. Here's Euro USD. So Euro dollar is, of course, coming in hot here with a sell rating, and we've now broken this down. I think we cleaned this up pretty good. But the currency pairs that you have on here are going to all be adjusted to this. We're still fixing stuff. You can see the Latin text here. So it's not quite finished, but we're going to have an output section. We're going to have articles on the Euro dollar and things like that here. So the Edge Finder is just getting slowly but surely better. And that's just been a result of continued funding to program this with the team. So really excited where this thing is going. But anyways, here's Euro dollar, and Euro dollar, we added some target ideas. We've got our score breakdowns, all sorts of good stuff. Now, this thing is a sell in my opinion. So if we get a pullback this week, I will be looking to sell it. And let's break down why. COT data. Big component here. Well, if you take a look at the commitment of traders data, which is right around here under the sentiment tab, what we can see is that the US dollar is heavily long while the euro is, it's break even, right? 50-50 basically. So that leans towards, so if you had to pick one, maybe favoring the dollar would not be so bad, especially considering big traders are doing that. They are buying the US dollar with a very low short percentage. Next up, we have retail sentiment, and this one gets a -1 because what you can see is that the crowd here is long on the euro dollar. If the crowd is long in the euro dollar, and we know that the crowd tends to bleed out money and lose money in the markets, we probably want to avoid being long ourselves. That gives us a -1. So -1, -1. Next up, we have seasonality. Well, here's something working against us. If we take a look at our current month, which is the month of July, the month of July in the last 5 years has been very positive, and our all-time average from the data that we have has been pretty positive. So that's not great. But again, seasonality is just one of the metrics that we look. We can't put too much weight on a single one. So next up, we'll take a look at the trend reading. Very strong downward trend, very simple to see it based on the daily chart here. The GDP growth and inflation favor the euro, whereas unemployment and interest rate divergence favors the US. In fact, by a long shot, the interest rate divergence in the US is much higher. So we have a much higher interest rate, which makes the currency more attractive in our view. So again, that gives us the Euro USD. We have some target ideas and things like that on the longer term to look out for. And I love this new thing. So basically the new view makes it so that if you have a question about a certain currency pair, you can click on it and get some insights all about it. And you'll actually eventually get some output text and articles that could be helpful from our team at A1 Trading. So let me just say this. If you guys like the new tool, the Edge Finder is now available. You can get access for a massive 40% off sale going on right now. As we roll out new product releases, we are trying to get more people to use the tool. It's been a really exciting ride. We've had a lot of people give us some excellent feedback on this thing so far, and we look forward to continuing to bring more tools to the Forex community. So check it out. Link down below in the description. Use that promo code to get access to the Edge Finder for a super discounted rate and be able to see all the trade ideas that it's generating throughout the week. Now let's take a quick look while we're talking about this. I want to show you guys this. This to me is the coolest new feature of the Edge Finder. We can now compare interest rates, and that to me is game changer because you can look across the board and see who has the highest interest rate, who has the lowest interest rate. For example, right now leading the board, we have New Zealand at 3.98. You have all these different interest rates and information there. So thought that was kind of cool. And in fact, I think that those numbers are off. Hold on, we might need to get those numbers checked. Those numbers are definitely wrong, but we'll get those fixed. You guys see the point. We're trying to get to a point where interest rates, you're able to see the different interest rates comparing the major currencies or major economies of the world. So, you want to be able to see, I know that the order of these is actually pretty close. We'll have to check. Anyways, interest rates. We also have unemployment data. We thought this would be kind of cool. So you could see the unemployment rates comparing all the different major currencies. You also have inflation, which currencies are experiencing the most inflation versus the least inflation, with a little slide bar to make it really easy. So you could see inflation ramping up like big time across the board. And this is the cool thing about having, the company behind this YouTube channel and behind our other YouTube channel. We're able to build these awesome projects and learn all sorts of cool new features. So again, get the the Edge Finder, 40% off, link down below in the description with that promo code YTVIP. So let's move on to another one. GBPUSD is another currency pair I'd like to talk to you guys about. And where's this one going? Where's the idea? Well, downward trend. So we're still looking for sells predominantly. And let's go see pound dollar comes down at -7. Very strong sell reading. And so from that perspective, when we look at this chart, we are looking predominantly for sell ideas. Well, right now, the pound dollar, if we take a look at the lower time frames, had a good little end to the week. We saw a little bit of bullishness. If price taps up into this region here, to me, that would still be sell worthy. I am still interested in selling this pair until further notice. So if price does swing up to the upside here, GU could be an interesting one to look out for this week. And now, why did I mark both levels? Well, because when I take trades, often what I'll do is I'll take them in attempts. So what I mean by that, for example, let's say that I shorted EURUSD here and I put a stop loss above structure. I'm not going to try and pretend that markets are super predictable and that just because it comes up here, I can snipe this trade and get a 50-to-1 risk reward. That's really unlikely because there is a lot of randomness and market noise that occurs. So sometimes I'm going to get into a trade and it's going to do this. And then it's going to come up to another level that I still might like the idea of selling the pound dollar, but maybe this one just didn't work out for whatever reason. Maybe there was just a little bit of variance and a little bit of volatility that tapped me out of the trade. And that's okay, because then I could potentially take another trade. I could try again and take a second attempt, perhaps up here, maybe a little bit more of a swing trade. So for example, a lot of times traders will think like, they have to have a perfect sniper entry and that it's 100% about getting the perfect timing on the market. For me, timing is the hardest part of the market. What's more valuable to me is finding a direction, risking small, and taking a couple stabs at trying to catch the swing. So for example, maybe in this case, I'm looking at this thing for this week, and let's say price comes up here, and I was a little early. But then on my second trade, I'm able to make a nice little profit. That's how, in the end, I can still come out profitable as long as I'm catching decent moves and letting the good ones run and getting rid of losses pretty quick. So I do like pound dollar short. Should it come up to those levels, that could be interesting this week. XAUUSD, this is gold, of course. Gold had a really rough past couple weeks. Major pop here on the 13th of July, followed by massive selling. Just again, going with the narrative of gold recently. We've just seen this thing be so incredibly bearish. Every pop seems to get sold into. So one thing that we are looking out for if you are a gold bull is the opposite to occur. If you are bullish on this thing, what we would love to see it do is do something like this, where it actually breaks out with some follow through, right? We need higher highs, higher lows before there is any justification for going long on gold. Now, if you're longer term investing, maybe you're looking at gold a little bit differently, but for trading aspects, I would say that gold is still short bias until further notice. So if we do tank underneath the lows, be wary that we could continue to see more downside pressure and that maybe there's some opportunities to sell this thing into the 1600s if the dollar remains continuously very strong like it is currently doing. So there we go. We got gold on the table. Let's take a look at USDJPY and then we'll look at some other yen pairs and talk about those. So I mentioned I made some money on UJ and unfortunately got stopped out just before it decided to, I didn't stop out. I made profit, but I trailed my stop. Price came up to this level. And at this point, what I did is I said, hey, you know what? Let me just go ahead and trail my stop loss in case this thing reverses, because then it could be at resistance. And of course, hindsight 2020, I look very foolish, right? Because price went right through the highs. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I catch the trades that I catch. And in the end, I make money because I'm able to sometimes catch the really great ones. So for me, what would a really great one potentially be? Well, I do like the idea if this does come down to retest that 137.60 level, maybe I can re-enter the trade and no harm, no foul. Yes, I missed this move, but you can always play the shoulda, coulda, woulda game in trading. To me, it's so much better just to look forward, right? Of course, sometimes I'm going to catch this trade and I'm going to catch it and it's not going to do much and then it's going to fly and I'm going to be still holding into that trade and make a great profit. Sometimes I'm going to catch a trade like this, excellent entry, made really good money on this trade, couple $100 really quick, and then unfortunately got stopped out on the pullback before it continued. So yes, in this case, I feel a little bit dumb, but it's okay. That's trading, right? Trading is going to do that. The markets it's so easy to tell everybody what you should have done on the left hand side of the screen when you already have the data, but going forward, it's a little bit trickier. What I will say is that looking at this, on a retest, to me, looks really attractive. So I do like dollar yen long, maybe this week, if we get a pullback to this level, looking for more upside. In fact, I believe that the dollar yen comes out as one of the top buys. Yep, dollar yen is number 3 on the list, has a score of 4, and gets a strong reading in most of the categories that we scan for. COT data, heavily biased towards buying dollar, shorting yen. Retail sentiment, very much showing that the crowd is short on this one, and that's why it's giving us a long reading. So you just kind of get quick with reading these the EdgeFinder scans. But anyways, I do like dollar yen long. I mentioned some other currency pairs with the yen in them. Let's look at pound yen. Pound yen, how did pound yen do last week? Pound yen had a pretty nice week. And honestly showing some signs of wanting to try and trend higher. Let's see. So if you're a pound yen bull, we have a little bit of barrier to that continued next wave higher, if you will. It would be this level of resistance here. So this spot, if you're looking left, you could say, well, at 165, we have used to be support, turned into really strong resistance, and could not get past it very easily this past week. So if you're a bull, you might want to say, well, I want to see if that changes this week. If that changes, if we get a strong green candle above that zone, that could lead to more follow through in the weeks ahead. And perhaps there's an amazing swing trade waiting for you on this sort of idea. So I kind of like that. I kind of like GJ long if we break out and retest. So there's a big if there because we're sitting at resistance. I'm not just going to buy it here. I'm going to look to see if we can break through this. And you know, maybe the day traders, you could argue, oh, I'm going to try and anticipate that break because we've got some higher lows. And of course, if you'd like to play that game, then go for it. But for me as a swing trader, I just want to see the level break. I want to pull back and then continuation. Let's talk about another one, euro yen. Now, not a favorite currency pair of mine. I'm not a big fan of the euro, as I mentioned earlier on. But despite that, this thing looks like it found a little bit of a bounce. You've got some nice little support levels here. But yeah, I mean, to me, just not my favorite of the list. If I was to trade this thing, it would have to be, if I have to choose a direction, I'd probably pick long. But it would probably be on some sort of break, retest, continuation sort of thing. Just, again, not really my favorite setup on the list of things that we've looked at today. I think that there's a lot of great setups that could happen this week should we get some pullbacks on things like the dollar pairs, etc. Let's talk about dollar Swiss. So I made some money on dollar Swiss. Is it time to re-enter? Well, honestly, there might be some nice opportunities here. Let's draw some fibs. I'm just curious. Fib level brings us down to this point here. So if we get a pullback maybe to 38.2, that could be attractive. And if you're aggressive, maybe you're looking at just buying into this area here. I don't hate that. I don't hate either level, actually. And if you're a swing trader, maybe you just say, hey, I'd take the stab here with my stop. You know, what is that, 50 pips away, 55 pips away? Don't hate that at all. So actually, I think that that could be a nice move. In fact, if you think that dollar Swiss is headed back to the previous high around 1.005, could be an attractive move. So again, if you think that the dollar is going to continue to be strong, which I tend to be a dollar bull, if you haven't picked up on that so far in this video, you know, you have ideas like a continuation back to the previous high here, but perhaps even that high at 1.005. So yeah, I like that. I like dollar Swiss long. A couple levels, this zone and this zone could be interesting. You could start lining them up though. There's plenty of opportunities in my opinion to buy dollar Swiss on a pullback if those levels come into play and things continue to remain fairly optimistic for the dollar. So I like a couple levels there. Aggressive play could be buying this thing right near the open. That would be my personal interest, would be this area and this area. So we'll see if we can catch some dollar Swiss bullishness going into this next week. So there you go. Guys, remember, get access to the Edge Finder, 40% off, a massive discount sale on the tool that we use here at A1 Trading to help find the setups. Really what I use is I use the Edge Finder to find direction, and then I actually use my technical analysis and such to enter and exit my trades, right? Placing stop losses, finding entries, things like that. So if you'd like access to this tool for a huge discount, get it today. Use that link and promo code down below in the description and get access. It's a one-time fee to get access to the software. Thanks for watching and have a great trading week. See you next time, guys.